Good morning. We will call this meeting to order. Note the presence of a quorum, and we have all commissioners present. I'd invite you to please stand. We'll begin with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning. Welcome all guests, staff, visitors present with us here this morning. The first item would be approval of the agenda. And Mark, do you have any?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Or commissioners? If not, a motion would be in order.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Sample approving the agenda. Support. Motion supported by Commissioner LaVisca. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. The agenda is hereby approved. Is there any citizens' public comment this morning? Yes, sir. Ken, if you could just state your name for the record too.
Yeah, Kenneth Sizemore. I own Angie's Acres and S&S Livestock and Feedlot. You guys might remember we got the feedlot all operational. It's kind of been a plan here, a phased plan. I wanted to get it to your guys' attention. We're going to move forward with the next phase now, which is a USDA slaughterhouse here in Aitkin County. So we just recently returned from Washington, D.C. We were invited down there at the National Mall to sell our beef, and that led to a lot of contacts and some pretty good things that's transpired. I've got a meeting on Thursday with the rural authority down there and the USDA to get some money allocated for this. You know, and another thing too here, I'm looking at the city of Palisade. I think there needs to be some revenue there and some other things. We're looking at some land. There's some things that Galen here's doing with a watershed and stuff. So we're gonna make sure we cross the T's and dot the I's. I'm just here this morning to kind of put it out there that this is what we're gonna do. We've moved 158,000 pounds of beef in the last 18 months.
Well,
I've got to do something because that's a lot of slaughtering costs, and we're driving 5.5 hours to haul cattle down and bring it back. So I'm hoping for about 15 to 20 full-time jobs. So we'll see what happens. And we also, I'm advocating too for there needs to be some water and sewage updates in Palisade, which I brought that to their attention down there too. USDA gave Iowa $38 million grant to fix that. You know, Aitkin County could use a little bit of that money too. So, but that's where I'm at with it. Just wanted to get it on.
very good. Thanks so much, Ken, and
You bet.
thanks for your investment in Aitkin County and your continued investment. We appreciate that.
Oh, we're going to. So thank you guys.
You bet. Thank you, sir. Mayor Spolarich, did you have anything you'd like to add?
Not right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Additional calls for citizen public comment? Last call. Is there any further citizens public comment? Hearing none, that section will close. We'll proceed to the consent agenda, of which I would entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion, Chair.
Motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner Carney. Support.
I'll support.
Motion is supported by Commissioner Westerland. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Consent agenda is hereby approved. On to Sheriff's Department budget. Sheriff Gaida, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Beautiful day in Aitkin County, even though it looked like a little chance of rain. The
It
whole
did.
west end of the county was cloudy and the east end was nice, so
Uh-huh.
I don't know, there's hope yet. It looks like it's gonna be a beautiful day, so. Budget 2026, it's that time of year again. I've got a bunch of numbers in front of me. I think you have them as well. The gist of the budget is, again, same as last year. Salaries, benefits, COLA, and reduction in police state aid. So,
Did you want to sit to go through this, or?
it's okay,
Okay,
I can stand.
thank you.
He's Air Force.
Hey, who? That's right.
What's that for? Okay, over there. So, there we go. We can scroll through and we can ask questions, but you can see, the salaries have gone up, the benefits have gone up, you know, that's that package that, the employees in the negotiation team does. So a little bit out of my scope. The police state aid reduction, we're gonna see a little bit of reduction this year in training. The Philando Castile funds and some of those funds have been cut way back. You can see that in the second line, so we knocked that back down to 10,000. We believe it's gonna shrink even more than that, but, we're trying not to do it as a one-hit thing.
Yeah.
So the police state aid, that looks like it's gonna go up. That's some of it is training stuff from the numbers of people we have as well. And our numbers have gone up too in the last 2 years, so that's where that is. So I hope it doesn't get cut next year, but it's hard to say. If you go back through the numbers, for auditing purposes, we had some adjustments. So you see like in 2000 or 258.40, we adjusted that from $100,000 down to 45,000, but we added a line. Kathleen had some stuff for budgeting for audit purposes. We had to add some lines and move some things. So the total number isn't much different, but that's where that goes. Some of it was AIS stuff and some of it was school stuff. So staffing expenses, the big change in 6109 is, we split out the holiday thing. It was holiday separate and overtime salaries separate. That seems like it bounces back and forth. That number also goes up and down based on the number of staff I have. If I have less staff and we're short, we'll end up spending a little bit more on overtime to cover some of these big events. We're looking at one this coming weekend. Obviously, we got McGregor, we got Wild Rice Days, we got the Steam Thrashing Festival, we got all these things going on, and we gotta have staff there. So if we have less staff, we have to have more staff come in. So there's some of that, some of those numbers.
So Dan, do they pay privately though?
Some of it gets reimbursed for sure.
Yeah.
But when our population goes from 25,000 to whatever it's gonna be this coming weekend, we just can't not have almost everybody there. We don't allow any vacation on big holiday weekends. We don't allow any, in our holiday weekends, we have 5 main ones, deer opener, Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, those type of events. So we don't have any of those, So that's, yes, quick answer. Enforcement expenses, next page. Nothing's really changed up. We just bumped up everything just a little bit for the cost of services and supplies.
So, I mean, I don't get any of this, but, so if they get reimbursed, where does that show up?
That comes into
And there's-
revenue.
There's no list, it just goes right into your revenue.
It comes back into revenue, yeah.
Okay,
So,
okay.
so if somebody gets, if we're paying out overtime and we get reimbursement, it actually goes right towards that funding.
Okay.
Comes right back in. So we work more overtime
Can't
than
tell
what
where
actually
it's at, it
shows.
just
Yeah,
shows up.
yeah.
We need a
That's
new
a-
program here,
Well,
I think. I mean, it's like, I don't,
Jessica was really good at itemizing things and she wanted everything
Yeah.
itemized. Well,
Yeah.
then it splits out in 8 million lines and you can't keep track of what goes where. When you talk overtime, it could be holiday pay, it could be overtime for working on a holiday, it could be overtime for working a special event where we get reimbursed, it could be overtime because there's a drug case, it could be overtime because there's burglary stuff, we do AIS overtime, we do all those things, and splitting them all out makes it difficult to
well,
track,
but it should go to each,
for sure,
and I get that.
yeah. But it goes back in the bucket, so.
Okay.
Back to enforcement expenses, we hope, so as an example, McGregor is gonna reimburse us for some of the work we did this last year, the McGregor School. We did not get the school resource grant 2 years ago. We applied for it last year, we didn't get it, we applied for it again this year, we hope we're gonna get it, but we don't know yet. So if that's a scenario, we're gonna pull in some revenue, we didn't mark that down as income. We're gonna keep an officer in the school because we've seen that just the numbers are necessity to have them there. Otherwise, we're responding there and it's cutting on the rest of the county, so. Education stuff and that is pretty normal. That hasn't changed anything. We've done a bunch of the training ourselves. We've gradually taken over, so like our, EVOC classes and our use of force classes and all those classes are all done internally now with our own staff. So we don't have to pay externally to go somewhere to get those classes. So we've saved a little bit of money there in the last couple of years. We have a
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
VSET add in that budget. It kind of combines in the enforcement thing. The VSET grant was awarded to us again this year. Commander Payment got that done and passed through. The grant covers all their overtime as well, and it covers the staffing for the admin person. So Jolene is covered with that. The two employees, we still pay for those, so. And we are using those on situations like this weekend where we have overtime needs. We'll put people out, we'll reschedule them ahead, so we don't have to pay quite so much overtime, so. Down to DARE, the small budget. Gun permits is kind of a small budget. You know, we do make some revenue there, but it's gotta be used for certain expenses.
Dan,
yes,
just
sir.
a quick one, is there a DARE program active?
There is, yeah, we still do DARE class in McGregor and Hill City, yeah. Hill City Police Department does it, we help them. And then in Aitkin they do, yeah,
Okay,
yep. I'm not super, I shouldn't say Aitkin does for sure. They had one, I'm not 100% sure that they're still doing it.
yeah, I
That's not
knew
in my
they
purview.
did have one, but I
Yeah.
haven't heard anything recently.
Ours, we have Deputy Osmus go up to McGregor, he's a certified and he does a couple days up there. It's not a huge program, spends a couple days a week, it works out all right.
Thanks.
Yep. When we get to the boat and water, was there any more questions on that?
Yep, I just have one. So
Yep.
all the line items that are, 2,902,000, is that just the top half? Is that what they all add up to? Is that,
That's everything, yep,
okay, from the top half?
yep.
Okay. I didn't want to sit and add it all up. Sorry.
Me either. So the boat and water grant, or the boat and water budget, you remember in 2025, we upped from 1 employee to 2 employees. You'll see some things that look like the budget's actually gone down from 21 to 20, or 25 to 26. That's because we had those initial purchase for equipment. We had the boat, we had extra, equipment that we added. Snowmobile is the same and ATV is the same. They're separated out, so. So we have 2 for the boat and water. The boat and water budget covers 48% of those 2 employees' time during that season. I think the numbers are pretty consistent with the enforcement budget. And
then
again,
After the season, then they're just weeded into the other.
nope, so they're
officers?
boat and water in the summertime, and then they turn into ATV in the spring and the fall. There's a little period of
Okay.
time there, and then there's snowmobile budget in the winter.
Okay,
We'll get to those. And again, at the end of the budget, the line item, you can see 148,655 from last year, down to 137,357 this year. That was the boat purchase basically, and the truck and things. Next budget's the snowmobile budget. That's 33% of those hours for those 2 employees. You can go down again, very consistent, same, everything's pretty much the same other than salaries and benefits. Goes up a little bit. We don't anticipate adding any new programs, but there's no cost addition either. So, and again, last year's budget was 81,025. This year it's down to 78,861 is our projected request for, there was a purchase of a snowmobile and another trailer. And then the ATV portion is 11% of their salaries, those 2 salaries. Same all the way through. Moving on to the corrections budget. It's a 252 accounts. Thank you. So the first line, the correction booking fees, that's a $9,000. It's a small item in our budget, but we get $20 every time someone comes to jail if they can pay it. That money just goes in, we have to use it for certain things, so we've got it zeroed out right now. There's some money in there, we can put it in there, it doesn't really matter. It would have a very small number change in the end. The other thing to note is, since I've been sheriff, we've been whittling down the actual projected revenue from boarding. We've just seen it gone way down. Now Carlton has a brand new jail, Itasca has a brand new jail, and so those people are not renting space anymore.
Is there going to be a temporary influx from Itasca?
We're gonna get 2 or 3 days to a week, we don't know for sure,
Okay.
but it's just gonna be, they're gonna run a bunch of people down and run a bunch of people back, so. Some of that stuff, I look at it like it's probably a good relationship to give them a good deal. There's a lot of places across the state that rent space to ICE, and they rent space to the feds, and they rent space to the state because their facilities are dilapidated. And they're charging, $115, $125 a day. We're significantly lower than that, but on the same breath, if we needed to rent space, if something happened here, Itasca would do us the same favor. So I think the relationship is probably more important than the extra $5.
Quid pro quo.
So
Exactly right.
Dan,
Yes,
do
ma'am.
do you think there's gonna be anything coming from Stillwater?
So the state has big contracts where they're doing a bunch of funding, and the jails across the state are very similar to ours. The populations are low, the court systems, are moving people to treatment, or they're moving people to other places. And so some of the counties, around Rochester have really big jails, 300-400 bed facilities. They think that the majority of that shift is gonna go to those places.
And they're,
And to be honest, I get that there's funds when we bring people here, but
Yeah.
when we bring people here that bring new crimes and new things and we show them this new neighborhood, they don't seem to leave. And they educate the people here at what they do somewhere else, and it's just it's not a win for us, I don't think, in the big picture. So that's where my heart is. I
well,
don't,
I'm just saying that if they mandate it,
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing we can do about it,
correct.
except they have to pay it. Well, they
Correct.
don't have to pay us, but they have to pay us.
Yeah, so right now, the southern part of the state of Minnesota, there's 8 districts in the MSA office. They're trying to standardize the fees for those agencies, for state agencies all across the world, or all across the state. And Minnesota, ICE pays quite a bit. When you think about it, if they could close their whole facility and charge and pay $100 a day, they'd probably be millions ahead in their budget, right? So it might happen. We don't know. We stand ready. If something were to happen, we'd stand ready. We could, if they mandate it, we
Yeah, I
could
mean,
fill
we
it
have,
up.
what, a 90-bed
87, we're from, yep,
facility, and nobody, I mean, hardly anybody's in there for a long
Right.
time,
right,
so, yeah.
yep. Time will tell. I'm not actively, I actually have, I talked to some of the other counties around, and what I was looking for is sentence people for STS crews. I told them I'd like them to, if they're not gonna have an STS program and they have people that would be successful in a STS program, I'd like to see them come to Aitkin County, cause I think that program really benefits our community. So, and we're really small now, so.
Okay.
Going through that, staffing is the same, it's a big number, cause we have a lot of staff there, but, we have increases, as you're aware. We have some potential, I didn't reflect it in this budget, we didn't add it, but if the 2911 laws that got passed in legislation this year are actually implemented, we're gonna be hurting with some medical costs. Right now, the Minnesota Sheriff's Association has a lawsuit against the 2911 rules in the state of Minnesota, and so everything's on hold. We're hoping we can fix some of that stuff. But forcing inmates to go to the meds that they're prescribed versus what they're using could be expensive for us. So, and that would mean, if you're prescribed Viagra in the jail, we have to give them Viagra in the jail, right? So you think about that, or think about some of these other maintenance meds that are not required for life. Or, alternatively, people that need their meds, which we give them to, if it's a designer med versus a generic med, we pay the designer costs. So that could be very expensive to the
Yeah.
county at some point. We're fighting that one hard. Men correctional facility, or men correctional care, who we used to have as kind of the seat to the lawsuit, because they represent quite a few jails in Minnesota, but it is through the MSA as well. Our attorney, Rick Hodson's doing a great job. It's on a pause right now, and we don't know where it's gonna end up.
So, like the medical expenses that you have on the, I don't know, there's not a page number, but, it's been 65,000 across the board. I mean, there's no actuals. I mean, that's kind of what I was hoping to see, what some of these actuals were for 2023 and 2024 and 2025.
Yep, we could get those numbers.
Do you know what I mean? I mean.
Take
it
much to
just
tell you where we were
would
at,
be
but-
easier to figure out what you're really gonna budget for. I mean, it'll be simpler, I would think.
Right. We base our budget numbers, Jen and I sit down and we base it on what we spent last year, and then we try to project what might increase and what isn't. This is one of those scenarios where we, just directly what we spent last year is what we looked at.
Okay, cause yeah, I mean, it just seems like there's gotta be a better program.
The good thing about our jail medical is that with the addition of Dr. Mapes and that program, we have significantly saved money there. That's, we dodged a big one there. We've dodged the lawsuits and some other things too by having our own provider. So that works great. We're currently working on getting a part-time nurse to assist. So we'll have one full-time and one part-time potentially to keep moving forward with that. And then that additional nurse would be a license and they would provide audits. So,
Yeah, that would be great,
yeah, we're getting there.
till something changes.
Right. It's almost like you just hold your breath and wait for
I know.
the next shoe to drop or. The rest of, kitchen stuff, we did some rebuild there. We got a new fridge, a new conditioner. We've rebuilt a bunch of stuff like that. So we're hoping the maintenance cost is gonna stay down. Supplies are less because of that. I will put a plug in for the Aitkin school. When we did that, we thought it was gonna take a few days and ended up taking a few weeks, and the school let us use their kitchen. We cooked in their kitchen, we stored stuff in their refrigerators. It was a great relationship, so it worked out really
So-
well for us.
And was that COVID funding that we set aside for that? Did it
Yep.
take care of
Fiscal
almost
risk-
all
yep.
of it?
Yep.
Perfect.
Education for dispatchers and jailers, you see that's a very small item. The Minnesota Sheriff's Association supports us with some of that stuff, and just by being a member, we're accessing a lot of those programs. So we're working on a like a credentialing thing for dispatchers where they get a little bit more training. Works out really well. If we move on to the STS budget, we're not sure what the state's gonna do with the grant funding on that. It's $37,000. I think the benefit that we see to our community is very good, but I know that. But we'll just have to wait and see where that ends. I think
How
they'll
long
get
has
some,
it been since they've done any
they,
STS work? As far as
they're out there every day.
because the
Our
fair.
STS crew's out there every day.
our
Yep, they're small.
fair- Yep.
Yeah,
I
we
know
had
they're
3
small.
on during the fair.
The wood cutting at Long Lake.
We haven't done a lot of stuff at Long Lake. We've been doing a lot of stuff
Well, yeah.
outwards, yep. I can have Pat come up and do a presentation. He does that typically once a
Yep,
year.
and he does.
Yep.
Yep.
So he can tell you where they spend their hours. So you can see the operating expenses and the salaries. It's mainly staffing expenses. There's a little bit of other things, but
So that's what the state gave us, was 37,000?
last year, we don't know what they're gonna get this year.
They're talking about big cuts and
I thought they were gonna cut it.
Half.
Yeah,
Yeah, they projected, but they haven't come
They
final.
haven't done anything yet.
right.
Well, I
Yep.
mean, that's just a concern to me, because if we have to let that program go, most of your workers are already folded into the jail or the system or whatever.
Right.
So how does that, I guess you can't, a budget's a budget, but how would that look? What would that look like? Because you're weeding, is there just 2 people on STS, Pat and
Yep, Pat and Kent.
Ken?
Kent's the crew leader. Pat does our jail programming, but he puts a little bit of energy into the STS program as well. The programming part kind of runs through the jail, so that's in the corrections,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, it's a sad day if that totally goes away.
I hope the state will come through. If not, we still have, we had some legislative money a couple of years ago, and I'm a saver. We got this public safety aid, so there's a couple $100,000 in there. It's not a rainy day fund, it's an emergency fund.
Yeah.
Right.
And so if we need to pull some things out like that to make things through, we'll do that. And that could apply to basically any of these budgets. It's not a very big rainy day fund, but it is,
Yeah.
so.
Well, and it's hard to get STS people. You can't just go out looking for them, because
Right.
No.
if they have a,
It's a sentencing thing.
yeah,
If they get sentenced to a year in jail or 364 days in jail, we got a really good candidate. We've got some right now, but like I said, there's a crew of 3.
mental health, so much mental health going
Right.
on.
Right.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt that the STS program puts more back into the community, and it helps the inmates that are actually working on it. They get a sense of value for being out there. Kent and Pat do a great job of getting them involved. They see that, and I know when these people drive through our community, they think, oh, there's the fairgrounds. I worked there 2 years. Because I used to use the guys to put buoys out back in the day, and they'd be proud about the buoys. You know, if I had the same guy the next year, he'd be like, oh yeah, I think we're a little off on this buoy. You know, they took an adventure to it, and they took it to heart that they were helping the community. So volunteer service is a big deal, and essentially that's what it is. You know, I know they
Do
get a
you
little
guys
credit for
do
time.
like private, like if somebody needed a ramp or
So
picnic tables? I mean, I don't know.
we have worked, so like if you go to a Ducks Unlimited event, or if you
Yep.
go to the Deer Hunters events, or you go to any of those events, even the fair, you'll see there's either a picnic table or a bench and bird houses.
That somebody
A lot of those come from people that get assigned to community service. So they'll come here on community service, they're not incarcerated, but they'll come here on community service and they gotta do 20 hours or something. We'll throw the materials in front of them, give them an example, and let them build those things, right? A lot of times, like Mille Lacs Energy will give us a Operation Roundup grant, and we'll buy lumber with that, and we stash it over there, and they'll get that stuff, they'll put it together, and then we'll use it for those events, and it's kind of a, you know, it's a goodwill offering for them, and they make something out of it, and it's given back to the community. So anybody that requests those type of things, as an example, like Wealthwood Rod and Gun Club asked for one for their fundraiser. Yep, here, we deliver a picnic table to them, you know?
Commissioner Carney?
Yeah, to answer one of your questions, Commissioner, Mr. George Steffens, a veteran, that he's passed now, Certain Sense to Serve did go out there and build a ramp,
Yep. And
a
I
ramp for
remember,
them. So,
lot
yeah,
of
they
that.
do. It's a,
because we get a lot of requests for that kind of thing.
sure.
And we
I don't know
built
what it's
several. I
for.
know the Lions is building them as well, and some other groups are building them. So we've done some. We've helped elderly people through different programs that don't have the ability to move their stuff, and they got to move into assisted living.
Yep.
We've helped them. We've helped, like as an example, like the land department. Every once in a while need a hand with something. They had a building in Tamarack they needed to clean out. We'll help them with that. You know, it's kind of a utility crew that we use in a bunch of different ways.
Yep.
So
Mishmash.
yeah, and they stay busy.
That's good.
So again, 181,000 this year. I hope we can keep that program going well. But we'll keep looking at it every year for sure. Then we're in the 911 account. That's a put and take account. I don't even know why we look at it, because whatever goes in and goes out. And then we get down to the emergency management. There's staffing expenses for the emergency management. So I'm the emergency management director, but we have Patrice, our dispatch supervisor. 50% of her wage comes out of this budget. She does a lot of that stuff, so she was up for different conferences and stuff. And of course, this is what gives us access to when there's a big storm in Aitkin County, like there was 2 years ago, and we had thousands and thousands and thousands of trees down on snowmobile trails and public infrastructure. This is what reimburses all those townships for that. So this is a big deal that we're there and present, and it works out well. The governor has an EM account that's separate, just like our public safety aid account is, that we can draw in if there's a declaration for an emergency. So I think you're all familiar with that process. And that pretty much concludes the budget. I will stand for questions. I think when it's all done, there's a couple number changes in there, but we're right around 5%.
Right.
Commissioners, comments, questions?
No, thank
So
you.
at the very
Great.
end, there's no total
There,
of what was above.
I will leave you.
Now you gotta add, Lori.
I know, now I'm gonna have to add them all.
There you go.
Oh, see? I don't get that one.
And maybe we can
Nobody
add that to
gives me
the
that
page, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The problem is, you know, you don't know, you're fine tuning and tweaking, and,
yep.
and even those gray area blocks, they don't add to the end, so you hate to give a number and say this is what it is without,
But we know that's not what it is. I mean, it's just, it's as close as you can get. That's all
Preliminary.
you can do. It's a budget.
yeah, and again, I'll tell you, it's very close to 5%.
Yeah, that's great.
Excellent.
And that's probably right in par with what's gonna
Everybody
be the
else.
bottom line on a preliminary basis.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff Gaida.
Sure.
On to the land department. DJ, welcome. Podium's chair, whichever you prefer.
All right. Well, I too have
proposed 2026 budget. I'm gonna go through it backwards because I stapled it wrong.
What?
I'm kidding. But otherwise, so these are the accounts we're gonna cover. We have our Concon trust fund account, our forfeited tax sales or FTS account, the resource development, our parks and trails, the survey and the GIS, and then I know at a previous board meeting, we discussed a little bit of Long Lake budget stuff. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail on that, but we'll get some numbers on what we're looking at for Long Lake Conservation Center as well, so. So the Concon Trust Fund, and these numbers, I think Dan had mentioned too when he was talking that some of the numbers have changed just a little bit from when the presentation was put together. I know workers' comp numbers continue to get updated. We've had updates on insurance, so these are very, very close, but they are not obviously going to be exact, so. But with our Concon Trust Fund, we did a couple years ago see a little bit of increase in revenue on this when they bumped the PILT payment from $2 an acre to $3 an acre. It didn't affect our resource development account, but it did affect the Concon account. So we saw a little bit of increase in that. So right now we're looking at a revenue roughly 372. With expenses around 313. So this is one of the first years, I believe, probably in 4 years, that we actually do not have a planned use of any of the fund balance. So we're gonna be actually adding income into this account. So in the past, there's been resurfacing projects and aggregate road projects that the highway department has been doing in the Concon area. So he has been taking, using some of the Concon dollars for those projects. And then earlier, we had always assumed or kind of had a policy that we would maintain a fund balance of $500,000 in this account. And the budget committee actually met and took a look at that and went through previous board action and could not find anything specific that stated that there was a policy of a $500,000 fund balance. We did find in 2020 that there was an adopted policy for a $280,000 or $285,000 fund balance. So that's kind of where we're going with that. But our projected end of the year fund balance, we're looking at just under $500,000 for that. So, and then we do have once again, half of the survey and GIS budget will be coming out of this account as well, so. And then the forfeited tax sales account, anticipating an income of around 1.4 million, even without our traditional land sales. I know we've discussed the new tax forfeiture law and how that is affecting things. Certainly, in the past where we were able to grab that revenue, it made up, I believe, when I did the numbers, about 18% of the FTS income would come in on those land sales. So we are gonna see a drop in that. We are having traditional land sales. We had one in December, and then we have another parcel that's coming up for sale here on September 5th. So we are having some land sales, and we are able to recapture some money from forfeited properties. So we are capturing the tax debt that was owed. And then a lot of it is just kind of wait and see on whether the surplus is claimed. So with last year's forfeitures, we had roughly $500,000 of unclaimed or surplus that was available to be claimed. We're still working through some of those requests, but I know we're gonna get roughly 138,000 of that I know will come into the FTS account. So I think we are gonna have some unclaimed surplus that will come into this account. It's just gonna vary so much from year to year that it's gonna be hard to anticipate exactly what that is. But and then we have $30,000 that we transfer to the auditor every year out of this account.
Is that like for services rendered?
That's for services, yep, correct.
Okay.
So, and then I mentioned, about the auction surplus stuff. Our 2025 revenue in the FTS account, for where we're at this year, we are above our 10-year average. Our 10-year average is right around that 1.4, 1.5 million. So we're ahead of that, this year. So we will have a good year this year. Granted that December doesn't fall apart and blow holes in our logging season, but, right now we have I know of at least 10 different operators that are in the woods logging right now, on the county land, so a little bit higher than what we typically see at this time of year, so, it's been a good year for that. And then just another note too, this account, we've gone over it a few times, gets zeroed out at the end of the year. Our management expenses are subtracted out of it, and then the remaining gets apportioned out to the county general fund, goes to the school districts, goes to the townships, goes for reforestation, goes to the parks and trails, so. And just kind of, a number I was just looking at here the other day, added up $1.2 million that we've actually apportioned from the FTS account into the county general fund, over the last 10 years, so I thought that was pretty good. And then the resource development account, looking at a revenue of roughly 635 with expenses of about 623. In the past, we have dipped into fund balance on this because of half of the survey and the GIS is coming out of this account. We will not be doing that, or we will not be budgeting that for 2026. It will not be dipping into fund balance just because we're gonna have a good year with apportionment this year, so. And then some of the main expenses out of this account, I mentioned the transfer to survey and GIS. We have one full-time staff that comes out of this account and then a part-time, seasonal labor that comes out of this account. And then the other two big expenses, are the money that we spend for forest roads and, our timber development, or timber improvement. And that's money that we spend on tree planting, any type of site prep, release work, chemical release, any type of seed processing, invasive species control, bud capping. And that's at 52,000 this year. I think last year for 2025, we had budgeted roughly 61,000. So it's a little bit less, than what we had last year, so.
DJ, do you collaborate at all in this area with the SWCD?
On our
They're
tree,
into tree planting or they give away trees?
yeah, typically not.
Okay.
We source our trees from a company in Michigan that grows them, called PRT, and they're container stock. And, so we found that the DNR nursery, which is where the Soil and Water Office gets their trees, are a lot more expensive. So they're generally, I think the SWCD, when they resell their bundles, they're at over $1 a tree. We get ours from PRT, they're about 15 cents
Okay,
a tree, so.
okay. Commissioner Carney?
Yeah, on the tree planting, sir, are we keeping up with our usage and our reforestation?
Yeah, absolutely. Our tree planting is somewhat limited just because we have, because of the soils and the environment that we have. But what is outlined in our management plans is we are trying to plant where it is feasible. So we are always looking at areas where if it's currently into hardwoods or currently into aspen, if it's better suited that the site will grow, or if the site is better suited to pine or spruce, we are taking full advantage of that and actually getting spruce and pine back out on the landscape, trying to get more upland conifer out there.
Commissioner Westerland?
So, who do you work with on the invasive species control? And I mean, how much does that cost?
We budget about 5,000 a year. We don't do a lot of it, and what we typically do is we will identify an area that we have a lot of buckthorn in, and then we'll just put a contract out saying, you know, we have $5,000. How many acres can you do for $5,000? And the bid always goes to Barry Sullivan with Outpost
yep,
Forestry.
yep.
He is basically the only one that submits bids on it. So it's a drop in the bucket. It's, you know, very small. We don't put a ton of money into invasive species control.
Well, it just seems like we're just getting more and more, and bugs, I'm talking bugs too.
Oh, with the bugs, we don't do anything with the bugs.
It's all state.
As far as what the state is controlling for,
Yeah, do they do any of that on our,
uh,
it just seems like there's a lot of dead trees from bugs,
yeah, yeah.
or wet,
And the
or
emerald
something.
and the emerald ash borer didn't help that, but yeah, we did have they sprayed for spongy moth
Yep, I remember that.
earlier. So, but I don't know if the DNR does a whole lot with invasive bugs or anything like that. We certainly don't have the
Seems like
time.
we're
or-
losing there's a lot of dead
There,
trees.
there's a
out
lot of things going on, and there's a lot of insects out there. There's a lot of trees that die of natural causes too. One of the statistics from a few years back was that for every tree harvested, 28 will die of natural causes.
Okay,
So
I know, just seems like we wanna try to help the trees, but we're not.
And so with the FTS account, I threw out a little 10-year total, so I figured I'd do that with resource development. 725,890 number of trees that we have planted in the last 10 years.
Hey, DJ?
Yeah.
If I may, are you guys finding knotweed?
No, we are not.
I know the state is.
The state is finding it. As far as invasives, we're finding, they had a new find of emerald ash borer up in McGregor. And they got it down, along Dam Lake. So there's about 4 or 5 positive spots of EAB in the county right now. We have not seen any of the knotweed on the county land. We have one spot on the Blind Lake ATV trail where we have garlic mustard that we've been treating, and then we have some areas with leafy spurge, spotted knapweed, tansy, which is everywhere, and then wild parsnip. So, and we try to focus on the more serious ones, what I would consider the more serious ones, and obviously wild parsnip, just because of the effects that it has if you come in contact with it. We try to eliminate that when we find it, so.
How about thistle? They're everywhere,
That's another one, yeah.
and you know what kills them?
We, in college, we
Goats.
used a product called Stinger.
The hard goats
I
will,
don't know if they make it anymore, but
yeah.
yeah. So, parks and trails, this is an in and out account somewhat, flow through. It's gonna roller coaster this year with the ATV trail, but, looking at just over 800,000 for revenue, about 751,000 for expenses. About 572,000 we get in revenue for grant and aid. And then that also includes the appropriation, the one-time appropriation we got from the state. That was for work on the Northwoods ATV trail. We're coming into the second half of that, so we had $250,000 that we got for it last year, and then this year, end of June, when the state's budget cycle ends, will be the last of the second half of that. So we'll have had spent that 500,000 on improvements to the trails. Our campground receipts, last year we had budgeted about 50,000, and we had less people in the parks, so we bumped that number back to about 45 for 2026. We are seeing the numbers are a little bit higher this year than what they were last year, so we are seeing that, which is always good. And then I mentioned earlier about this account doing a little bit of roller coaster. We have 1.5 million in bonding for the ATV trail. That's all coming through this account. So it's a spend, get reimbursed. So there's times when this account is gonna be deficit, really bad, while we're waiting for reimbursements, so. And then survey GIS, not a whole lot new with that. Small budget increases just for equipment and salaries and benefits. This is year 6 of being off the levy. I mentioned that before. Half of this budget's coming out of the Concon account, the other half coming out of resource development. We mentioned Long Lake a little bit before, at an earlier discussion, talking a little bit about budget stuff. Just over $1 million in revenue. We are looking at more revenue than expenses, so we are budgeting a little bit of an above budget or above zero balance at the end of the year. I mentioned earlier, a couple big schools canceling can make this budget go bad in a hurry. But we're looking at school group income, roughly $627,000. The adventure program income, that's the Forkhorn camps, the astronomy camps, the summer camps. 122 from the non-school group incomes. These are the quilter groups and the weddings and the other stuff that comes in, so. And I think I mentioned this too, looking at a proposed rate increase for 192 per student. And then the new LCCMR and the outdoor school for all legislation, which will also add stipends for school teachers and can also help with some of the busing expenses, so. So this is what we're looking at, 2026. These are all of the ACLD, all of the land department accounts, roughly 4.7 in revenue with account expenses at about 4.1. Slightly, not that it's gonna help the levy, but slightly less than what it was last year. And then we're looking at mainly that difference is what we're looking at with apportionment. So most of our accounts are break even, and if they do make money, then we give it away, so.
Thanks, TJ.
Otherwise, if anybody had any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions, commissioners?
No.
If not, on to the next item. Thanks, DJ.
All
Good
right.
report.
Thank
Yep.
you, Jay.
Next item to be the county highway department, county engineer, John Welly. Welcome, John.
Morning, John.
Thank you and good morning. Well, I'll go through the slides here. I'll try to go through them quickly. If you have questions as I'm going through them, just feel free to ask. Let's see. So as in years past, highway department budget consists of 3 components: the operations budget, which is broken down between administrative staff, engineering staff, and maintenance staff, and then capital equipment and facilities budget that contains all of our equipment purchases, facility improvements, as well as our 5-year program for those things as well. And then capital infrastructure budget. This budget includes all of our external costs for projects, construction projects by external costs. I mean, any cost that we pay to others, for example, to landowners for right-of-way, for engineering services, utility companies for utility moves, and of course, the biggest one being to contractors for contract payments. Staff engineering costs, our own staff engineering costs that are part of capital projects are not included in the capital infrastructure budget. Those are included in our operations budget. So just a quick slide here showing the breakdown of our operations budget by work section. Maintenance with 19 full-time employees is the biggest component at 75%. Engineering, our 6 engineering staff is shown at 13%, and then our 4 administrative staff at 12%. showing a breakdown of expenditures by expenditure type. 54% is payroll-related cost. Next largest category is supplies, materials. This is basically diesel fuel, gasoline, equipment parts, and maintenance, and then all of the supplies that we use to maintain roads, gravel, salt, culverts, signs, posts, asphalt materials, anything else, any other supplies that we use to maintain roads. Road maintenance services is 20% of the total expenditures. Those services are payments to others for work on roads, such as calcium chloride application, pavement marking, bituminous crack sealing, municipal maintenance agreement payments to our small cities in the county that maintain routes within the city, and county line maintenance agreements. And then insurance and dues and utilities are just shown, relatively small components there. So overall, operations, 2026 operations expenditures are down slightly from the 2025 budget. That's due primarily to our payroll costs being down very slightly from our 2025 budget. The reason for that decrease is really twofold. We're budgeting one less maintenance position this year than last year, so we've been at 30 full-time employees for a few years. We're going to go back down to 29 employees, which is where we were at in 2006. So that not budgeting that one position is an annual savings of about $85,000. That position has been vacant since early this year. We've been kind of trying this year to see how we can do without that position, and it's worked well, so we're gonna continue that into 2026.
Retirement, John?
It wasn't a retirement, it was just a young guy went to work for the city of Brainerd. The other reason that our payroll costs are down is that we did something different this year, differently with payroll costs. In the past, we always staffed our payroll at 100%. So in other words, we'd take every position, assume that it was gonna be paid every hour of the year, and that was what we budgeted. We never really thought we had enough turnover to do anything other than that. The past year, I think,
Yeah.
the other two main budgets in the county have put in payroll contingencies where they adjusted for actual payroll not being as high as, what the fully staffed payroll would be. But when we looked at our numbers I was actually surprised to see over the last 5 years, our actual payroll, compared to budget was only 96% on average over the 5 years. So we followed suit with the other two budgets and reduced our payroll as well. We did it a little bit different way. We just reduced our expenditures. We're showing our payroll expenditures at 98% of our fully staffed payroll cost. We did 98% instead of 96% because occasionally when we have staff vacancies, we need to hire other services just to make up for those staff vacancies, particularly with engineering. So, we didn't feel that we could budget the full 5-year average 4% that we've seen. Supplies, materials overall, some of the items were up, some were down, but overall 4% decrease from the 2025 budget. Road maintenance, we're showing a 2% increase. Insurance, what I'm showing there is a 28.1% cost increase, but since this information went out to you last week, we've gotten actual MCIT insurance numbers. Those are now in IFS, they're reflected. Basically, our insurance costs went up by less than 1%. I don't know
Awesome.
why
Wow.
we were getting guidance for higher increase amounts, but they didn't go up nearly that much. They went up just not
That's
even
a
a half
huge
a percent.
difference.
Yes.
That's a huge difference.
I mean, it's not a huge difference dollar wise. I think it's
I know, but it's just
15,000,
crazy.
but it's a huge difference percentage wise.
Percentage-wise, right.
Dues, utilities, 5% decrease from last year. I always like to show this graph just because outside of our payroll costs, this graph is so indicative of where we're at with our highway department budget. Basically, everything other than our payroll costs
Right.
are directly related to energy costs. So this is something we track. it's not the first time you've seen this graph. The blue line that's shown there is a graph of our bulk diesel purchases. We purchase anywhere from 5 to 8 tanker loads of diesel throughout the year, and we've tracked this since 2006. A couple interesting things about this graph. You know, you can see in 3 of the last 4 presidential elections, we got an election year dip. You know, those low dips on the graph. We didn't get that this last election cycle. But if you look at where we're at right now, we're in probably the most stable energy prices that we've been in over the past 20 years. Since January of 2024, our diesel costs have been from $2.30 to $2.60 per gallon, which is, you know, pretty tight. We just
Amazing.
haven't seen any volatility in the last going on to 20 months now, and that's good news for our budget. You know, unlike in the not too distant past, we were at a low of 99 cents in May of 2020, and then it went up to 4.78 in June of 2022. You know, that volatility really hurts our budget. So it's good to see that prices are stable. We just ordered another one this morning, and we're right in that same range. So nothing is changing yet.
The local pump, well, the crude oil price per barrel has been pretty stable.
Right.
But the local pump, one of the stations went up 40 cents a
That's just
gallon since Monday.
gouging.
The other lines on this graph, the red and the green,
Been there,
those
done
show
that.
our annual average cost for diesel and gasoline. The blue line, our tanker cost doesn't include the taxes that we have to pay. The other two, the average cost does. We don't have to pay the 18.4 cent federal gas tax. We're exempt from that. However, we do pay the 32.6 cent state gasoline tax for on-road vehicles. So some of the diesel, a lot of the diesel that we purchase goes in off-road vehicles. We just pay sales tax on that. We don't have to pay the gas tax. But the other thing you'll notice is that the gas tax is increasing every year now. This year, it's 31.8 cents. Next year, it's scheduled to go to 32.6 cents. That's a result of the indexing that was recently enacted at the legislature, where, you know, instead of now there having to be a battle at the legislature to raise the gas tax, it automatically gets indexed to some consumer price index.
Formula.
Goes up automatically every year. So this, from 25 to 26, it went up 0.008 cent. From 31.8 to 32.6 cents, so 0.8 cents per gallon. So then getting into the revenue side of operations, this is just a chart showing where our revenue comes from. The biggest component there being our county state aid highway revenue, shown at 3.3 million. That represents 40% of our total state aid allocation. We get our state aid allocation every year. 60% has to go towards construction projects to rebuild or to build our county state aid highway system. The other 40% is for maintenance and gets pulled directly into our operations budget. So that gets to be the biggest component. Levy revenue is the next biggest component at 30%. And then we have local non-levy revenue at shown at 14%, 836,000. That's essentially the bulk of that is services and supplies that we sell to townships, cities, work that we do on public drainage ditches, that sort of thing. This is a graph of our state aid apportionment revenue. So we're in a good time right now with state aid revenue since 2023, when they enacted a pretty hefty transportation funding package. So since then, in 2024, statewide revenues to the Highway User Trust Fund have increased 10% in 2024. We saw a 9% increase to our allocation that year. That's just because of the needs formula that gets calculated every year. So we were slightly below the 10% increase, statewide increase in 2024. But in 2025, the statewide increase was 7%, and we showed a 9% increase. For 2026, they're projecting a 10% increase, but I'm only budgeting a 7. I think it might be a little bit I think that might be a little bit, too high, so we're budgeting a 7% increase over 2025, but from the graph, you can see that it's, our funds have been increasing, and, that's really what allows us to keep our levy down. This increase in 2026 alone, that results in $200,000 coming into our operations budget. So, that combined with 90,000 or 84,000 from eliminating a position, combined with close to 70,000 from our 98% payroll, all of those items, those are the three big items that helped us to keep the levy where it's at for 2026, or where we're proposing it for 2026. So our total operations revenue then, we're showing a 0.3% overall decrease from last year. As I said, the county stated highway maintenance revenue, we're showing a 7% increase from actual last year. County state aid highway construction revenue, I had said just a few minutes ago that money has to be spent on road construction projects. Our engineering costs, however, are reimbursable from those construction funds, so we levy $200,000 a year. That's what we did last year, that's what we're doing this year, to reimburse our staff engineering costs. So that construction money will come back into the operations budget to help offset our engineering costs. Non-levy revenue is decreasing 17.6%. That's just based off of 5-year averages for the most part. And our local levy, to keep the budget whole, is decreasing 7.1% as we're showing it. To get into our capital equipment and facility budget then, so if you look at the numbers are a little bit staggering. We're showing $901,500 of expenditures in 2026. That's a 54% increase from 2025. A good part of that increase, about $200,000 of it, is from, how do I say it? The unexpected replacement of two pieces of equipment that we didn't plan to replace. They weren't in our program, but because of problems with those two pieces of equipment, one of them the engine, the other the hydraulic system, we're wanting to part ways with both of those pieces of equipment ASAP before we have to stick any more money into them. We have a plan to keep that levy neutral, basically not have to use fund balance by using those same CASA construction funds that I had talked about. We'll just request more reimbursement to offset that cost. So essentially our construction costs will end up paying for those two unexpected equipment purchases that we're proposing. I'll hopefully be bringing those purchases to you here before the end of the year. We wanna, like I said, get rid of those two pieces of equipment as soon as possible, and I'll give you more information at that time. Facility improvements, $100,000 we're budgeting. This is part of a 2027 Aitkin shop expansion that we're planning. When we built our addition in 2020, we built it too short. Our trucks are wall to wall. It's unsafe. It's not a good situation, so we need to figure out some way to either reconfigure or lengthen our shop just to address that. I think we're envisioning a $400,000 to $500,000 project. We're budgeting $100,000 a year to pay for that. Equipment replacements, they're listed there. They total $746,000. I won't go through each of them individually. Towards the bottom, you can see Unit 350 and Unit 372. Those are the two pieces of equipment that we're looking to part ways with as soon as we can. Equipment additions, we actually are proposing to add one piece of equipment to our fleet, a tandem truck chassis to pull our belly dump trailer. We've got 3 belly dump trailers that we haul gravel with in the summer. Right now, we've got one chassis that's all we use it for, so it's on the belly dump all the time. The other 2 belly dumps we have to break down, a plow truck, take the dump box off, put the fifth wheel on and use it to pull the belly dump trailer. Because that chassis is so heavy, it results in us not being able to haul as big a load. So we're trying to transition to buying lighter chassis that we don't have to break down every year and switch over to pulling the belly dump. So this is the second and the third. We think we can find a used chassis with probably 250,000 miles on for around $55,000. So the capital equipment, or the 5-year capital equipment and facility plan is also in our budget. It ranges from the 901,000 that I said this year. It goes down next year to 748,000, and then, as our facility improvement project drops off in 2030, it drops down to 684,000. This graph, shows our annual equipment and facility expenditures. You can see the blue line on the bottom. Our facilities have been fairly consistent. We've just methodically invested in our facilities for a long period of time. We're hopefully coming to the end of that, getting our facilities to where they should be. The red line is the equipment, and this one's a little concerning. The black trend line that's shown there represents a 5.4% increase over the past 26 years. So that's higher than we'd like it to be. There's a few new pieces of equipment in there that have contributed to that trend line, but for the most part, it's just increases in equipment. Equipment costs are just going through the roof, and it's a challenge for us to keep those costs down. We're buying more used equipment to try to offset that. We don't get the good deals on new equipment, the good government discounts like we used to get. So we're looking more towards used equipment when we can find it, when it's a piece of equipment that's gonna be a low use machine for us. We're searching the used market and going that route. So we'll see if that works out in the future years, or if it just ends up being offset by increased maintenance costs. Then on to our capital infrastructure budget. So we're showing the 2026 expenditures that we're showing are itemized there for professional service, contract payments, utility moves, and right-of-way. Contract payments just shy of 10 million. We have light years in our road construction program, and we have heavy years. 2026 is gonna be a heavy year, just shy of $10 million, so that reflects in our total budget numbers. The revenue just matches. You can see where the money's coming from. We're proposing 740,000 of it to come from local levy. That's compared to 725 last year. Just a nominal increase. We're looking at some federal grants, one federal grant for next year's town bridge funds, helping townships with their projects. We're looking at, just got the letter this morning actually, that we're gonna be receiving additional bonding funds through the local bridge replacement program for a couple of our bridges down on County Road 2 next year. And the remainder is just coming from our county state aid construction funds. That's that $8 million that's listed there. That's significantly more than our annual allocation, but we have money saved up from a couple of light years in a row, so we'll be spending down that balance. So total revenues and expenditures we're showing at just over 10 million. That's actually an increase of 74% from 2025, but again, just due to, it's a heavy construction year compared to a couple of light ones prior to that.
Is County Road 62?
That's in 2026, yes. Yep. Still crossing our fingers that we can proceed.
Okay.
Not there yet, but hopeful. The 5-year capital improvement plan, listing all the projects from 2026 to 2030 is also part of the budget. It was in your packet. I'm not gonna go through it today at all. I'll schedule a different board agenda item, probably in September, maybe even October, to be able to spend more time going through that in more detail. So overall then, the overall budget summary, if you look at the column, you'll see that our total revenues and expenditures, they match at 17,915,000. Overall, that's a 37% increase from last year. If you break it down between operations, if you break it down between the three budgets, operations only increased by 1.6%, capital infrastructure increased by the 74%, and then capital equipment by 54%. The impact on the local levy, you can see here, so what's shown on this sheet is $3,251,130 that's needed to make our overall budget whole. That would have been a slight decrease from last year's amount. The new numbers after adjusting for insurance are even lower than that, so we'll be looking at a levy amount of about $3,235,000, and that's almost a % decrease from last year's levy. And then just something we track, because, you know, we do have a lot of volatility in our budgets. We have good years, we have bad years, so we like to not only look at what's happening in a current year of the budget, we do like to look at a 5-year and even a 10-year pattern. And so you can see here with the .17 figure, which is outdated now already. But with that figure, we would have been at a 5-year budget increase of 30% and a 10-year budget increase of 26%. We're still, we still have that 15.7% from 2023 that's haunting us until we get beyond that. Those numbers aren't gonna go down. But that's the budget. Questions?
Commissioners? Comments, questions?
I just don't know how you keep it all, trying to follow gas prices and price of materials. That's
Equipment.
awesome, impressive.
He has good financial backing.
Good staff.
That's right.
There you go.
Good report.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Let's maybe shake some cobwebs.
One comment for John to let your crew know appreciation for them getting gravel out there on that one customer's property road
Which one?
by 18. I'm not
Oh,
going to say his
well,
name.
yeah.
He came to the station and said, "Man, they got it out there. You must have pull." I said, "That has nothing to do with the commissioner."
Well, that
I
was-
said, "You guys are on
That was
a
a
schedule."
completely separate issue, yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't
I
even
said-
complaining about that.
Yeah,
That was just something we'd had planned for a few
and I
years.
said that was on their schedule. So
That's
call,
good.
I told him to call you and say thank you.
We'll take a win however we can get.
Exactly.
bet.
Send
Thanks, John.
pizza.
John, would you have time for a personnel meeting, a quick one after? Thanks. Let's shake some of the financial numerical cobwebs out of our mind, take a 5-minute break before we get on to car.
Sorry about the comments.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Oh,
I
sorry.
got one more cobweb I gotta get out while he's.
Okay, make it fast.
Oh, there it goes, I just saw it.
Showtime? We'll reconvene, call the meeting back to order. Next item would be Health and Human Service Budget Review. Carly Goebel. Welcome, Carly.
Hey,
Thank
Carly.
you. Good morning. I'm here today to present what we have for the proposed 2026 Health and Human Services budget. And this was approved at the last advisory committee meeting for Health and Human Services as well.
I believe there is a letter recommendation from the committee.
Yeah.
You got
Thank-
it.
Okay, I am in charge. So this first slide here just breaks down our revenues and expenditures by the main departments within Health and Human Services. So we have revenues, we have public health, so these programs and expenditures within public health include emergency preparedness, WIC, child and teen checkups, family planning, family health, nurse home visits, health education like the SHIP program, and tobacco and cannabis work. So those revenues are budgeted to be at $1.1 million in revenue and $1.1 million in expenditures. So not much difference between those two. Financial services, so this includes the staff costs and supplies for that program as well as child support. So revenues for financial services in 2026 is estimated to be at $2,563,242. And the expenditures at $2,423,408. And then we have social services, so that includes both children and adult services, children and adult mental health, chemical dependency, and developmental disabled services. So that revenue is projected to be at $4,841,964, with the expenditures at $5,086,962. We do have an undesignated category within our budget, so that is our payroll contingency line item. So we don't designate that under each department, so that's just overall Health and Human Services at $124,215 in 2026, which is 2% of our salary and benefits category. So then breaking our revenues down by four main categories, we have fees, grants, other revenue, and levy. So our fees would include reimbursement for services provided and billed to insurance companies, like our flu and COVID vaccine reimbursements that are billed to insurance companies. So that category in 2026 is estimated to be at $738,600, which makes up 8.5% of our revenue budget. Our grants, which include state and federal grants and allocations for the various programs within Health and Human Services, is coming in at $3,565,456, which is 41.2% of our entire budget. This category did see a decrease in the 2026 budget of roughly $2,000 overall. And then our other revenues coming in at $505,900 makes up just under 6% of our entire Health and Human Services budget. So this includes miscellaneous recoveries, medical assistance to state recovery program, and non-state and federal grants. And that did see an increase of about $81,000 in the 2026 budget. And then moving on to our last category, which is our levy category. So that equates to $3,854,115, which is just over 44% of the entire budget. So our total revenue in 2026 is projected to be at $8,664,071. And then breaking the expenditures into the 11 main budget categories, we have salary and benefits. So this includes all budgeted positions for 2026, which is 61. We are not requesting any additional positions in 2026 at this point. Breaking that down, public health, financial services, and social services, you can see there on the slide. This category totals $6,227,888, increase of 5.7%. And this category makes up almost 72% of the entire budget.
Mr. Chair. So
Yeah,
Carly,
Commissioner Westerland.
do you know what the salary and benefits was last year? What percent?
It's always about that 70%,
Okay, I
75% of
wasn't
our
sure if
entire
it-
budget.
Cause it has, I think it's increased.
Yep,
Yeah.
so this category did increase, while there's other categories that decrease, so that
Def-
fluctuates the
yep.
entire budget. But
Yep.
for 2026, we are estimating just under 72%
Okay.
of our entire budget. Our second category is communication services, so this includes telephone and postage costs. This category totals $64,710. We are increasing that 4.23%, and this category is 0.7% of the budget. So that increase equates to $2,625 in 2026. And as you can see, we really have two main categories in the budget. There was some I struggled to even get highlighted. Moving on to dues and registration. So this includes membership, dues and registration fees for the entire agency. This category totals $13,700. We did increase that by $1,200, and it's 0.2% of our budget for 2026. Moving on to utilities. This includes gas and electric costs. This category totals $37,000. We did not increase or decrease this category. This category has actually remained at $37,000 for this is year 3 now.
Yep, that's good.
So it's 0.4% of our budget with no change. Professional development, so staff training and development costs. I believe this is our smallest category. So this category totals $3,150. We did include a decrease of 1.56%, which equates to $50.
You guys are all trained.
Right. I mean,
You've been
this
here
could
forever,
change if
huh?
we have staff turnover
yeah,
that we need to
exactly.
send, but as of now, we are projecting a decrease of $50 in this category.
Just, that's the total, so it's a,
It's a swag number.
yeah.
Our next category is hotels, meals, mileage, and gas. So this includes transportation, gas, parking, and lodging costs. This category totals $73,675. We did include an increase of 0.79% of the budget of what was budgeted for 2025. So that equates to an increase of $575. And this category is less than 1% of our entire budget. Category of insurance, so this includes vehicle, equipment, and liability insurance. Currently included in the budget is $31,700. I did just receive actual numbers from the auditor's office earlier this week. I have not had a chance to incorporate those yet, but I have it on my list to do that, and this category may change slightly.
Down or up?
I'm not sure yet.
Does anybody know?
I'm hoping down, but I'm not sure yet. So without that, we did increase this category $5,700 without the actual numbers, but now we have those. Our second largest category, so our first largest category in the Health and Human Services budget is salary and benefits. The second largest category is contracts and service agreements. So this category is the most challenging area to budget for. It's difficult to predict what our Aitkin County residents will need day to day, year to year. And the largest portion of this category is our out-of-home placement, foster care costs, adult regional treatment center costs, state share of collections paid out of this category, and software programs we are in contract with. This category totals $1.9 million. We increased that 5.26%, and it is 22.4% of the entire budget. That increase is about $97,000. Moving on to materials and supplies, so this includes our office and technology supplies and small equipment. This category totals $160,401. We did include a decrease in this category of 1.1%, which this category is 1.9% of the entire budget. So we decreased this category $1,849 for 2026. Capital improvement plan expenses for 2026. With the building remodel coming up very soon, we did decrease this category. We had been planning prior years to budget for some funds to be used for the building remodel. And then in 2024 and 2025, we used this category for our EDMS casework system. We have paid out the implementation costs, so we decreased this category for 2026 by 81.94%. So we decreased it by $100,000. And then our last expenditure category is other. So anything in the entire Health and Human Services budget that didn't go into another category is under this one. So this includes statutorily mandated county burials and the Adult Mental Health Initiative payments that we pay out. This category totals $89,010. We did include an increase of 4.04%. Which is $3,460, and this category is 1% of the entire Health and Human Services budget. And then last slide here, at this point, we have zero planned use of fund balance. Our program revenues is estimated to be an increase of 1.22%. Overall expenditure increase 4.14%. And we are expecting or proposing a Health and Human Services levy increase of 6.14%. 6.14.
Total.
What's the fund balance at?
Our fund balance, taking out the $2 million is about 53%. I just pulled those numbers yesterday, estimated at the end of 2025. Again, that can fluctuate.
Yeah.
Our out-of-home placement for 2025
Sure.
is at 88% already.
Yeah. Excellent report. Commissioners, comments, questions? As usual,
Good report, thank you.
excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Really like the way you put it together.
Make it so much easier to understand.
Snapshot.
Thank you. Have a good
Thanks,
day.
Carly. On to facilities. Hi, Jim Bright, welcome.
Morning, Jim. All right, I have a gender request here for, it is a commissioning agent for the Health and Human Services remodel. This is required by the B3 that we are required to have to get the money from the state. So, yeah.
Jim, B3 has become a household term for those of us in the facilities committee. Could you briefly explain B3?
Briefly,
If there's a way.
so, B3 is a standard which, in all intents and purposes, is kind of an energy standard. So that goes everything from how your new windows perform, how air handling equipment performs, all the way down to, as we are demoing the HHS building, what materials we can recycle, how we're gonna recycle them. We have to have reports on how we recycle certain products. So it's, yeah, it goes
State mandate.
state mandate, yep.
Okay,
Commissioner
real
Carney?
quick, for my ignorance, B3, is this an entity or is this a standard?
It's a standard.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. It is a standard that was started at the University of Minnesota and has been adopted by the state. And it does very closely follow the new energy code. But there are a
Duplicating.
few different things in there. So,
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner
So
Sample.
it's a bunch of bureaucratic BS that we have to follow. My question is, by following this, and I mean, call a spade, by following this, are we really saving money? Or is this what we have to do in order to get that $2 million grant?
there you go. We have to do this in order to
Just
get
hit
the
the nail
grant.
on the head there.
Yep.
And I mean, you know,
We're not saving money. We spent an extra 40,000 with Widseth to do all the paperwork, which I think, is a steal. It was 2.5 months ago when you approved that 40,000, and I literally get 5 emails to 10 emails a day that they're working on this, and they're still working on getting the report ready to go. We are spending an extra 10,000 with Contegrity Group to help track all of it. We are spending an extra 30,000, well, 29,000 for a commissioning agent. And we have to still get through how we're gonna recycle things. So we're gonna spend 100 to 120,000 to get the 2 million from the state that is required by the state to get that grant. So
So, Mr. Chair,
Yep. Commissioner Westerland?
do you have to pay to get rid of the recycling too?
we are working on it to
course
best
you
that
do.
we don't have
You have
to.
to pay for a dumpster.
Well, we have to pay for dumpsters anyways to get rid of it, but it's,
Separate though.
once I find out what we have to meet, then I'm gonna have to talk with, dumpster companies to see if they can provide the tracking that we need, because it goes all the way down to who takes it away, how it's handled at a transfer station, and where the final resting place is. I was talking with John Welly about it, and we have a possibility that he may be able to use the cement blocks that come out of there,
Concrete.
and he may be able to recycle those. I've talked to Widseth, and they think that may fall under
Yep.
their guidelines of how we can recycle, so we'll be able to reuse it. But it goes down to like pulling all the ceiling tile out, putting it on a pallet, shrink wrapping it, and then calling a company that makes ceiling tile, and they have to come and recycle it. And then we need paperwork from them saying it's been handled properly, they've received it.
Asbestos, all that good stuff.
We've been through all that. I did that a year ago. I had them go through the building and do the assessment on the asbestos stuff, so we're clear of that, so.
Well, it's a good thing we don't have windmills or solar panels up there.
Yeah,
There's a silver lining.
yeah, let's go with that. So, yeah, so, I'm here to, seek approval for the contract with a commissioning agent. As you can see, I had, actually Travis from Contegrity Group went out and received these 4, proposals. 29,000 was Hallberg, IEA was 33,500, Dunham was 38,900, and Cooper Commissioning, I think, missed the target because they came in at 118,425. So, but we did have three of which I would say were good bids to work from, and 3 very good companies to work with, so.
Well, Commissioners, you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for Halberg Engineering at 29,000.
Motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner Westerland, support.
Support.
Supported Commissioner Sample. Discussion.
Yes, Chair, if I might, where are they out of?
St. Cloud.
Okay, thanks.
With twisted arms.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Thanks, Jim. You put a lot of work into this.
It's,
Hey, Jim, before you, step down
yes,
from the podium there. So all the lease agreements are done now, final?
correct,
Okay.
Yep.
We approved at the last meeting.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yep.
I mean, and the move, I guess, is where I'm going.
So, VFW is probably 95% set up. There's, just a couple things that we're finishing up with IT, couple electrical issues we're dealing with, things like that. There are, how many people are moved up there? 6 or 7 people are actually moved into the VFW already.
Probably.
We are moving more starting tomorrow, and by Friday, everybody will be moved into the VFW that's going there. The other building that we are leasing, we are just finishing up, getting the carpets shampooed, getting that all cleaned up, getting desks moved around, and we are starting to move people tomorrow afternoon or Thursday there. My goal is to have everybody moved out of that building by this Friday.
Wow.
So that next week we can start tearing things apart. And then the week of the 9th of September, we will be allowing people from the county to come through, pull out any furniture or anything they need, letting the nonprofits come in, and then the 11th and 12th, we will be holding the garage sale. And the Monday, the 15th, you will see dumpsters outside, getting rid of all the stuff that we didn't sell. And you will also see dumpsters out there for contractors to start. They will be coming in that 15th and start disconnecting electrical, plumbing, things like that. So that week of the 15th, we'll kind of, at the pre-construction meeting, we just called it kind of a soft launch that week to get started with stuff, just because you have to get so many electrical and plumbing things disconnected before they can start tearing down walls. But by the end of that week, they will start demoing things. So I would invite you to stop up at the VFW, take a look at it. It's staff, I think, has been pleasantly surprised how well it turned out, and my staff did an awesome job getting that set up and has gone above and beyond. I bought them a little bit of pizza on Friday, and I thanked them for their hard work, but I told them there's no such thing as a free lunch. That was just pay forward for what's coming the next few weeks. So we got a lot more coming, but it's going well.
And then one more question, if I may, Mr. Chair. On the facilities meeting, we talked about the FEMA buildings.
Yes.
You want to give the rest of the board a little bit of an update where we're going with that?
Yep. The two at the fairgrounds are, they're on me. I just need time to sit down with John Welly, and we've got to figure it out. It's just with the HHS move right now, I'm just a little booked up. But that's the next thing on the agenda. The boat and water building, we have been working through because that's built in the city limits, we have to send that down to the state. We have to deal with the city building inspector, so we're just getting through all the final stuff on that. The drawings are done. It's just getting through, making sure everything's up to code, ready to go.
Where is it going? Where it was?
On the south lot
Oh, okay.
over here.
Okay.
Yep. Nope,
I don't know.
the city limits are right on the north side of the land department building, on the south side of that street, on the north side of the land. So, yep.
Okay,
So-
just one last question. Can we make the HHS building a haunted house for Halloween?
By Halloween, it will be haunted. It's there's gonna be a lot going on by Halloween. So, yeah. So, any other facilities questions? As long as I'm standing up here.
Well, fairground, place was packed this weekend.
They had over 200 bikers that came through town, and they had requested the use of the fairgrounds. So yeah, that went really well. Block North had some food there. I think they had a couple small bands there. Yeah, no, it was the fairgrounds. When you start looking at the usage, there's not a lot of dates during a summer that on weekends they're not full, and even some during the week. And next year, I know we've already got 8 or 10 things booked for out there. And our last one this year, I think, is October 15th, the last event we have down there, which is getting kind of late because we put all the boats in the buildings and for storage. But yeah, it's becoming more and more used, which is exactly what we want.
It was amazing. There were more pup tents. They looked like ants. I visited with some of the people down there, and
Yeah.
just thank you, welcome to Aitkin, and they put a nice little shot in the local economy here.
It all helps.
You bet it does. So thanks to the Ag Society and yourself and that, Jim.
Take a breath.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
On to administration, economic development. Mr. Jeffers, Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll talk about some more numbers now, if you want to, but these are kind of the fun numbers a little bit.
Yes.
As you know, we hired, I should say, the U of M to do some surveys for us on an economic impact study with our ATV, Northwoods ATV Trail that was out there. These are some results from that. I did include in the packet the entire thing for your reading pleasure, but I think we can just summarize it here on a couple of large and surprising numbers, I think. ATV riders for 2024, when we look at that number, we have 138,460 riders on our Northwoods ATV trail. Those numbers come from Chris Johnson in the parks with the counters. It's a very conservative number because, as you know, a lot of those trails are loops. So when they go in, they have to come out, or you have other issues. But they'll divide those in half. They will take a very conservative number of that. And that's a huge number of riders that influx into our county. 65% of them are visitors. So when they did a survey, the U of M connected with the survey through postcards, through live on the trail surveys. There was over 536 surveys that were completed. And they did a wonderful job at putting that information together. 65% of all of those riders that were out there in the surveys were visitors to our area. Looking at some of the other numbers that are in here, 94% of those surveyed rode on a designated trail, so they are using our trail system. And I think as you get into the economic impact, the most important numbers that we see, the economic activity that's generated through our ATV trail is over almost 17 million, $16.8 million. There's direct at 13 million, and then indirect associated with that at about 3.8, which is, the 180 jobs in our area that supports directly those ATV trails, meaning jobs in restaurants and lodging and transportation, retail, grocery. Some of the numbers broken down that aren't on this slide, $4.2 million spent in our restaurants by average. You remember I told you there's a certain amount of dollars that each one of those surveys were spending into our area. 4.2 million in restaurants, about 2.4 in lodging. These are direct dollars that can be associated back with the trail. Transportation is 3 million. And grocery supplies and retail is another 3 million. So there's a lot of dollars coming into our county from visitors that are spending money here while they're at these trails.
And you haven't even talked about like Willie's and some of the other businesses
Correct.
that,
Some of the resorts too.
and some of the resorts, or resorts covered in your motels.
So I think, understanding that it's bringing in 16.8 million a year in direct economic activity to our area is huge. What do we do with this information now? This is a huge tool to be able to go out and attract businesses that are tied to the different transportation, lodging. It gives them facts behind hey, you should come here because we've got a trail. It will help us go after funds for different trailheads. It'll help us go after funds for different things that we want to do inside the trail.
Yep.
We're building these numbers, obviously don't count the trail that's being constructed right now, so those numbers will increase over time. But we'll continue to monitor this. We'll continue to use this as a tool for attraction, not only for visitors, but for those businesses that can be really beneficial and be benefited by the trail. Any other questions on it? I know
Commissioners?
been through numbers all morning. I didn't want to blast you with more, but
We like pictures.
the
So can they
pictures
ride
are
around
great.
in Aitkin City?
Pardon?
I don't even know, can they ride ATVs around the Aitkin
They
City?
can. They
Or
have an
just-
ordinance for that. There is no connection to the Northwoods
No.
ATV Trail, which is a future plan, if
Right.
you want to think about that.
Yep.
As soon as we construct the one in Malmo down there, get that
Purposes of
completed.
refueling and
Another 10 years.
Yeah.
purchases.
Yep. So I think that'll be a huge boost to our economy, is to connect that Northwoods Trail
You
to
bet.
the Aitkin area. But all kinds of good things in the future if we want to continue with that. And I will take any questions if you guys go through that information and have specific questions, or have specific questions on what I'm gonna do with the information from here and how we can use it as our tool. You know where to find me, so.
Yep. Any questions on this, Commissioners? On to updates, Mark?
Perfect, yeah. Just a couple of updates. The first one was already done. Jim letting you know about HHS, the VFW, all of that. I won't go through that again. I do want to give a big compliment to Jim and to Sarah. It is an example of teams working together and collaborating to get things done. They dug in, they took charge, and we're ready before we needed to be ready. Usually deadlines can be missed. They're doing a great job, and they're doing a great job communicating to the public and communicating to the staff on what's happening. So far, so good on all of that. I'm really thrilled that they got to do that and that you guys got to see that great work from those two teams that were going on there.
You bet. And Chris, thanks for all your time and
Yeah.
doing all that technical stuff that,
The behind
Only
the
you can
scenes
do.
guys, yeah, I forgot to mention that, but yeah. So I won't bore you with that anymore. AMC Fall Conference is September 10th to the 12th, for those of you that are going to that. The annual conference is December 8th through the 10th. So we know about that annual conference down in St. Paul, I believe. I'm not exactly sure where it is. I haven't looked.
Bloomington.
Bloomington, okay. For I will be attending the fall conference, but before that, the day before, I'll be attending the 4th annual Mille Lacs Band Tribal Economy Summit. I've been there every year. It's a really good day of getting together with the different counties, it's at the casino at Grand in Mille Lacs, yeah.
What day is that, Mark?
That is on the 10th,
That'd be the
a
10th.
Wednesday. If I have the date wrong, let me know, but it's usually on that Wednesday. And then we were selected to conduct and facilitate 2 workshops at the annual conference. If you recall, I did a workshop last year
Yes.
with the county commissioners on why you need economic development in your area and different things like that. We were asked back to do 2 of them, one of them being on our revitalization project and the podcast and all of those great things, the strategic plan that came from
Nice.
that. So how teams can collaborate together and work together to do different things. And the second one is broadband and how to navigate this new BEAD world that's coming at us and all of the changes in getting funding. So we'll be doing 2 workshops. I invite you all to attend those and critique, heckle, do whatever you would like to do. But we'll see you all down there. And that's all the updates I have for today.
okay, just kind of, since you're there, the interim management team, again, greatly appreciate all that you have done, stepping up to the plate there.
Absolutely.
And according to schedule, at our next meeting, we'll have the new county administrator,
We shall.
Dave Minke. And I know the interim management team is extended to Olive Branch to continue as long as he would find your efforts helpful.
Yeah, correct. Whatever help is needed as he gets here, he's gonna obviously hit the ground running, has a lot of experience, so he knows what he's doing, but right around that budget time and all of those different things. So, yeah, we have extended that we could keep the IAT meeting with him until he sees fit. So,
He knows county government.
That's just like the first day of school.
yeah,
You need to learn the building. You know that what you need to do, but you have to learn the building.
Commissioner Carney?
Yeah, just a
Buildings.
response to Mark, I came back from the district director's retreat, and our board needs to know the respect that the AMC has for our economic developer. He was brought up in the meeting, it was commented about his last briefing that he had down at the conference, that they're bringing him back for 2. So we need to.
That's awesome.
We need to acknowledge that he is being eyeballed. No, you can't go anywhere. No, I've already blocked that. But it is recognized that Aiken County is a progressive in economic development.
If I may,
I just
Mr.
wanted to
Chair,
put that in, it was brought up.
piggybacking off of that and the respect that AMC has for our economic developer, this revitalization stuff also got us a national
Yeah,
recognition
it did.
at NACO. So we're doing good things here. We're on the map, so thank you.
absolutely, you bet. We
Well,
continue
look at
to
the
tell our story.
16.8 million
yeah.
generated from ATV trails. That is prima facie evidence.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thanks,
No,
Mark.
that's it. Thanks.
Mark.
On to committee updates, clockwise, Commissioner Carney.
Alrighty. Apologize for having to leave in the meeting last meeting. I'm better, so hit the ground running. Like I said, I had the plan and zoning on the 18th, normal business conducted, a few Airbnbs. This next meeting this month, we'll have a lot more. There's some gravel pits being opened up and we'll see how they go. From the 20th to the 22nd, I was down at the AMC Strategic Planning Retreat. That's where the comments were brought up about our economic developer and the excitement of having him back. Other than that, AEOA, I had told you that they were cutting funding. I'd gotten a notification to our restaurant that we were only gonna be allowed to serve the senior meal during a 2-hour period now because they were over budget. So last Wednesday, before going down to the planning retreat, I attended the AOE Executive Board meeting and let them know that I was going down to AMC to find out the disparity between the meal allotments in the metro and the meal allotments up here, and additionally, the hour cuts. Miraculously, within 24 hours, the Agency on Aging, which does all the funding for the AOEA, the meal programs throughout the state, magically, funding appeared, put back, given to AEOA that we can go on as status quo. Now, mind you, I will not stop with this
I wouldn't
3-to-1
either.
meal until I get to the bottom of it and we get a resolution. But other than that, that's all I have, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sample?
Well, Mr. Bright, answered most of the questions about the facility, so you heard it right from the horse's mouth. The other thing I'll tell you is I call on the way to the board meeting today from the Corps of Engineers. Today, they're sending me the official response from that request that we sent to the board. They're gonna send us their answer. And they also said that the new colonel, the new commander down there at the Corps, wants to make sure that whether we accept or we don't accept, whatever, that we understand that the communication lines will stay open for talks all the way through this. So I might extend the invitation to have him come up and brief the whole board on what's going on.
That'd be good.
Because that is a very touchy subject.
Well, if they haven't made a decision yet,
They have made the decision, it's coming in the letter.
and that's probably why he called, or, you know what I mean? Cause maybe
Well-
it's not a good decision.
Well, I've been hounding him. You guys promised me the end of May
Yeah.
that we'd have an answer. And now we're almost the end of August. What's going on? We want an answer.
Tenacity pays off.
So, but they also said, when I talked to them a couple months ago, that they're trying to work with us to make this a solution that we're all happy with. So I guess we'll wait and see what the letter says.
I hope it's good.
Me too. And that's all I got, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner LaVisca?
I had a boring couple weeks, to be honest. Just a couple meetings, nothing major going on at either of them involving us. We did have a budget committee meeting, and that was mostly kind of touched on by our departments today. I will say, as a budget committee member, I'm really appreciative of our department heads and the way they can keep those pencils sharp. And, you know, we start with a number and then they keep whittling down as long as they can. So we have great, I mean, I talked to other commissioners from other counties that, you know, say that their department heads just ask for the moon and then it's the commissioner's job to whittle everything down. But our department heads really do a good job at
And they blame you.
sharpening their pencils, right? So really want to say thanks to our department heads and the staff there and the work that they put in. Just kind of as a general, you know, when we saw our overall presentation at our last meeting, Kathleen had us at 14%, but said that there was gonna be some things, and I can say that right now, Commissioner Weedle, we're at 5.3%? Down from 14?
tentatively, and that's
Yep.
only preliminary.
Right, as preliminary, obviously. So, yeah, and that's all I got.
5.3 preliminary? Ah, it's getting better.
It can only get better.
Thanks, Travis. Commissioner Westerland?
I had a webinar with AMC on demography, lasted about 45 minutes. It was only an hour meeting, but it was just like, okay, I am not a stats person.
Yeah.
That was kind of crazy. And then, of course, the federal impacts, I saw Mark was on there. It was just information, basically, they knew a few things, but yet they didn't know everything yet. I was on the community food assessment, invite from Public Health from Hannah. And we had a couple of, not a couple, there was like 8 of us for the first group. The second group was bigger, I believe. Just to talk about or try to help out food shelves, where we're gonna be getting food, and since all these programs are supposedly gonna be weaned down or cut or whatever's gonna happen. We're just trying to prepare ourselves. And I have to let you know, COVID's out there. Or my whole family had it. So I missed the care board meeting. Of course, they're working on the, let me get this right, or I'll get in trouble. The conference, the resource fair, it will be coming up on September 17th from 8 to 3:30. You can contact Kara if you would like tickets to go to this. I'm actually not gonna be able to go. I have a, other prior engagement, and then I have one later on in the afternoon in Virginia with the what is it, RRRB, whatever it is. And then we had public health. I know, I had kind of a busy week for being sick. Hang on a second, we had a lot going on. There we go. Okay, so we went through administrative updates, investing in public health. We had a SHIP update, our regional model, through SHAC. They're having which is the state public health board, advisory board, is having a retreat in Brooklyn Park. They used to have a big blowout at Craigan's or somewhere usually. They rented the whole place, but they haven't done that for quite a few years, since before COVID. We did our strategic planning. It went very well. Our action plan was to support public health leaders at every level, which includes, I hope that we can start, now that HHS has moved, or is moving, maybe we can all kind of piggyback and go see what they're up to and find out what's going on at HHS, and just keep in touch with them.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of sad that public health since COVID has gotten such a bad rap. It's really bad. And they do everything they can to keep our kids happy, our kids healthy, the elderly, I mean, from 1 to 99, 1 day to 99. So I really think that our HHS people in public health, and they really need our support so we can get through all this again, maybe. That's it.
Okay, thanks,
Sorry.
Lori. The facilities, Jim gave you a very, very accurate, up-to-date report on facilities. The Budget Committee met yesterday, Commissioner LaVisca. But I think when you saw after the presentations today, 4% HHS, 5% gives you a pretty good feel where things are gonna come in.
Oh, yeah.
Be that as it may. And other than that, the Aitkin Economic Development Authority met, and there was a loan request from Curio North. It's shoe, novelty, clothing, very upscale. and they have offices or stores in Aitkin, the old Bears Bootery building,
Oh,
if you're familiar. And they have one in Garrison, one in Deerwood.
They used to have one in Malmo, but.
Did they? You sure? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, she didn't say that, but,
Used to.
okay. And they put in for a community business partnership loan, for HVAC, basically, for, about $6,600. They do have another loan which is paid up to date, and this just, is the balance of what would be the maximum. But, a good risk, if you want to even call it a risk. Real good presentation from Lisa Christensen, the owner. That's all that we had at Aitkin Economic Development Authority. I got a call from the judge last night, Judge Dan Hawley, our new judge at the Aitkin bench. And he was hoping to come today, but there was a potential jury trial. But he's hoping to attend our next meeting, first meeting in September, just as a hello, hi, how are you? Welcome to Aitkin type thing, so, and, we'll see. Hopefully, that opportunity will avail itself. That, pretty much all I've got.
I have a question for you, Mark. Do we ever hear about what's going on with the gas station in Aitkin or the one in Hazelton Township on 169? They're all
No,
private.
their corporate is not moving. Mark, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, they're private. They're in bankruptcy discussions at this point.
Both of them?
Yes, both
Same
of them
owner.
together.
And there's
same
a
owner.
third one too somewhere.
Yeah.
Buckland? No.
Well,
It's outside of our
Yeah.
it's
world,
Aitkin,
but
the old, Highway 18, 169
No.
in
Yeah.
Elmo.
That one's
yeah, but
Hazelton.
Hazelton, that's what she
You're
meant
talking
there.
about the one on 65?
No.
There's one close on 65 also?
That's not part of this corporation.
No, it's not part of this one.
Well, since you brought that up, may
Which
I?
one is that?
Yeah,
What are we, within Aiken County, if a service station closes, there's a time frame that if it goes past a year, you know this as well as I
Oh,
do,
yeah.
then who's managing and monitoring for contamination, number one? You know what I mean?
MPCA.
Right, but, I mean, these are things that we need to keep as consideration too, because I've seen 3 or 4 service
Well,
stations.
yeah, because we're gonna get,
that are
if
closed.
they don't, something happens to them, we're stuck with them or
Yeah,
whatever.
is the county stuck with these?
No, not yet.
No, will they
Yeah.
be though? That's
I
my
don't know.
point.
Nobody
If they go
knows.
into, because it's county land, and if they go into foreclosure, we go through the foreclosure process, but then you're stuck with a bill.
I don't know.
I'm looking at the one in the city,
Right. Yeah, this one here.
yeah.
Correct.
And
Same fact.
it's anybody's guess, but based on current corporate mentality, this bankruptcy thing could go on and on for restructuring, if it's chapter 7, a chapter 11, a chapter 13. I'm not sure what chapter. I'm sure it's not a 7, but, just wait and see. I know local officials have been in touch and,
Yeah, well, the concern is, like I said, the time frame. What, because if it goes over a year, they've got to pull everything. I mean, you can't even recertify.
and I don't know that that has
No.
been addressed, quite frankly.
Yeah, Commissioner, I'll,
The impact on the city.
I'll dig into those details and understand that
Thanks
better.
for bringing that up.
Yeah.
And it could be an impact on the county for our other.
Well, for our other, yeah,
Yeah.
but the city, and
Yeah,
Anything
it's-
else?
It's terrible.
If not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Commissioner Westerland moves adjournment, support.
support.
Commissioner Carney supports. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.